Good morning, everybody. I've decided to record a lesson in case all of our virtual trying goes awry next week. And I've got myself in the corner. I won't do that very often because I hate myself on camera. I hate my voice on camera. But I just wanted you to know that I'm not a robot and I am here. Okay, so the first thing I'd like for you guys to do is if you could, in your, you should have a link to this form here, Characteristics of Living Things, and it should make a copy for each of you. So I just made this for you so you guys can type your notes into it and look back at it later on. Okay? So now let's get back to the actual lesson. Today I wanted to talk about characteristics of living things. So on the screen here you see a person, a mushroom, a Venus flytrap, which is a plant, of course. The green one is bacteria, and the one in the top left is a protist. So these are all examples of living things. And I just want you to kind of think for a minute, what do all of these things have in common? Even though they're very different, like what classifies something as being alive or not? Okay, so on your form you can see there are 12 things. Some scientists say there's only 5. Some people disagree on some of them, but we're going to go over the 12 that you see on your note sheet. Okay, so before we do that, you know how things are organized. Like in a school they're organized, in a business they're organized. The smallest living part of a human body is a cell, and that's one of the most important things you need to remember. For something to be considered alive, it has to be made of cells. Some things are one cell only, like that protist and that bacteria that I showed you. Some things have trillions of cells, like us. Okay, you have probably 3 trillion in your brain alone. So we're what we call multicellular organisms. So the order goes a cell to tissue to an organ to a system to an organism. So a tissue, I think of it like a sample. So like if someone has a suspicious mole or something and the doctor takes it off, they're not taking off one cell, obviously. They're taking off a bunch of skin cells. So that would be considered a tissue. And then all tissues that do the same thing is an organ, like a stomach, a liver, an intestine, a brain. And then all the organs that belong to one particular group or perform some specific function are systems. And then those systems together become an organism. Okay, so let's talk about the first characteristic of living things is reproduction. Anything that is alive has to be able to reproduce itself and make offspring. Okay, so the example you see here is a cow giving birth to a calf. Now, and we'll talk about this later on, but reproduction is not all sex like people think it is. Obviously, it is for this cow because she had to have a partner, but reproduction can be sexual or asexual. And the easiest way to keep it straight, sexual means you have to have a partner. Okay, and it's not always what we think it is like with people, and we'll talk about that later, okay? But you have to have a partner. Asexual means you can do it yourself, okay? And don't think dirty there. What I mean is there are some cells, like those bacteria I showed you or the protist I showed you, that can just copy their DNA and split themselves in half. So that would be asexual because it did not need a partner, okay? So sexual, partner; asexual, no partner. All right, the second one is nutrition. Every living thing has to find nutrition somehow. So obviously for us and your dogs and your cats and things like that, it is eating. But not all things specifically put food in their mouths, right? Think about like a mushroom. A mushroom absorbs all of its nutrients from the ground. It decomposes things, okay? So nutrition, you have to have energy. All right, the next one is responding to the environment. This is any way that an organism reacts to its surroundings, okay? So the example I have here in the picture, that is a lizard, and obviously it has the ability to camouflage. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these in around, not this particular lizard, but different lizards that can change color. When a whale migrates from Maine all the way down to Florida and back, that is responding to the environment. All right, the next one we already mentioned. Any living thing has to be made of cells. Okay, and I just gave some examples of cells: muscle cells, skin cells, plant cells. Every living thing is made of cells. All right, the fifth one is respiration. This is what you and I would normally call breathing. okay? And the actual term for it is any way that your body gets oxygen into it, and then you actually create energy by burning sugar with that oxygen. So we use our lungs, fish breathe with gills. Some things that live in the water, like different protists and things, actually get the oxygen directly from the water. So it's any way you get oxygen to burn sugar for energy. Okay, 6 is an adaptation. This is anything that you have inherited that helps you with survival. Okay, so try not to think of people too much. Let's think of this rabbit, this snow hare here that I have up here for you. She has a bunch of adaptations. Obviously, she's camouflaged. She also has some thick white fur, and she also has thick blubber to protect her from the cold. Okay, remember, your adaptations are only as good as the habitat you live in, because if we brought her to North Carolina and let her loose, she'd probably die because of those adaptations. Okay, so adaptations help you survive, only good in your habitat. All right, intake of materials. Now, guys, this is different than nutrition, okay? There are a lot of things that organisms take in to survive. An example for us is water. Water doesn't give us any nutritive value, but obviously you have to have it to survive. So think about this plant here. What else does it take in besides water? It also takes in sunlight. It takes in carbon dioxide, okay? So this is anything you take in for survival. All right, 8, growth. This one's self-explanatory. Obviously, you grow and you mature, okay? So there's more than just to grow, and you also have to mature. But unfortunately with this, a growth also means a lifespan. So things are born, things die. Okay, so a seed going to a tree or a newborn going to an adult are 2 examples. All right, movement. This is one that scientists argue about, because if you think about it, the tree that's in your backyard can't decide, oh, I'm tired of so-and-so's backyard, I need to move somewhere else. But they can move with the sun. Their seeds can move. So this is one that scientists do argue about. But we're going to put going from one place to another, and I gave the examples of a duck flying or a plant turning with the sun. So I'll put some links up there if you'd like to check some of them out. Okay, excretion, a terrible word. Anyway, all excretion means is anything your body does to get rid of wastes. So of course we pee, we poop, but you also excrete by getting rid of sweat and a whole bunch of other things. When you exhale and get rid of that carbon dioxide, that's excretion. Okay, and the story about this dog is very cool. He lives where there's not much grass, as you can tell, and the first time his owner took him out to pee, he did this little trick, and he thought it was funny, so he kept giving him a treat, and every time he pees, this is what he does. I just hope he doesn't poop that way, because that would be messy. Okay, for 11, we're going to focus on the synthesis part, not the secretion part. Synthesis means putting something together. So the best example I can give you for this, of course, is photosynthesis. Plants can take carbon dioxide, water, and with the energy of the sun, create sugar for themselves. Okay? And humans do something very similar. When we go outside and the sun is shining, we actually create vitamin D in our bodies. So you don't have to just get it from milk and stuff, which is pretty cool. All right, and then the last one, number 12, regulation. This is anything your body does to keep itself balanced. So the best example, if your body gets too hot, what's the first thing you're going to start doing? Sweating. And that's your body's way of keeping a nice, even temperature keel. Okay? The word that the biology exam or that the biology curriculum uses for regulation is actually homeostasis that I have typed up here for you. So just think like a thermostat keeps your temperature at your home at a certain level. Okay, that's what regulation or homeostasis mean. So what about a dog? Dogs can't sweat technically, right? What do they do when they get really hot? They stick out their tongue and they pant. Okay, think about how elephants will swing dirt up on them, or they will move their ears to cool themselves down. Okay, when you drink too much water, you pee more. When you don't drink enough, you pee less. So just think about a nice, even balance, and that's what regulation means. Okay, So we will review this again tomorrow before we move on to the new lesson. So what I'd like for y'all to do at this point is do the Google form that is also attached to turn in, and that'll be your grade for this lesson. And if you have any questions, please email me, call me, text me, whatever. Thank you, guys.